Secret Invasion is over on Disney Plus, so let's rank all the MCU Disney Plus shows from worst to best. Hey everybody, my name is Justin here. I try to watch everything that hits theaters and on streaming services like Disney Plus. If you guys are like me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and click that bell notification for more up and coming content. Leave your list down below. How would you rank all the MCU Disney Plus shows? I will not be including the ones that were on Netflix. I will also not be including I Am Groot. So there are a total of 9 MCU Disney Plus shows. Coming in last place is She-Hulk. I just actually watched this for the first time during the Secret Invasion episodes in preparation for this video. I watched the first episode and a half when it was released and I just didn't finish it. So I watched all of it. And for the most part, I do like it. The ending is the worst thing about it because it tries to do all this meta stuff about the show and all this commentary on Marvel. It just does not work. You could have took what Jen wanted the show to be like and just do that instead of what they did, because at times it is clever, but it just ruins the whole journey for Jen. And the show is so aware of that, it makes no sense whatsoever what they were trying to do. Other than that, the show really didn't amount to much. There was a point where the show was just focusing on Jen balancing her life as a lawyer and She-Hulk. And that would have been a fine story. But they had to have so many cameos, which they referenced throughout, and so many different storylines that it felt like it never amounted to much in the show. And at times I did like the show. I liked Jen as a character, but overall the comedy at times was pretty bad, and the show felt like many times really early on that it was going nowhere. From its initial setup to where it got at the end, the journey is just off. Coming at number 8 is What If. Now, What If's not a terrible show by any means. I think some of the storylines are fun, the animation's pretty cool, and the voice acting returning for some of these characters I did like. The problem with a lot of anthology shows like this, that they have many different storylines for each one, it's hard to latch onto the overall tone of the series, where some are I feel more important to the MCU. Some are just throwaway episodes. Throwaway episodes just make the overall series feel a little unnecessary at times. This is like at the height of establishing the multiverse and people's interest in it all. It was released at the right time. And people are still interested in the multiverse, Spider-Man and upcoming Deadpool. There's a lot of things that they could do with it. But the overall show, What If, there were strong episodes, and then when it was weak, it was weak. And I really could care less about some of the episodes. And it was hard to get through it and want to continue because there was a string of episodes I just really did not care about. There were some stronger episodes. The zombie episode and Captain Carter I did like, but there were other episodes I feel like didn't amount to much. And then having a connection at the end of it all with the Watcher, I feel like came too late into the series. But when it comes to the other MCU Disney Plus shows, I want a more continuing story. Coming at number 7 is the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The characters Falcon and Winter Soldier are enjoyable characters, and them two together, it's hot and cold at times, push and pull relationship. They like each other, they hate each other. It's a blast in here. I feel like that's easily the best part of the show. Unfortunately, there's a lot of villain stories that they're trying to implement into the show with the Flag Smashers and Baron Zemo as well. It juggles a little too much, and the storylines presented in the series feel really thin. Like they're trying to have these big morals and messages provided in the show, but it doesn't really amount to much. And you're supposed to feel their agenda and side with them, especially the Flag Smashers, but the way that their story is written, there's not a chance for it to grow. Not a chance to feel that impact from these characters within the series. And so that ultimately leaves a lot of the storylines to feel really hollow, despite some fun action and some fun characters and a lot of great energy within it. It just feels really weak. Coming in at number 6 is Secret Invasion. I would say that Secret Invasion, of all the MCU shows, is the most disappointing. There was a lot of hype surrounding it, having Nick Fury return, Samuel L. Jackson, a lot of great talent in here with Olivia Colman and Emilia Clarke, having Talos return as well, and the Skrulls. There's a lot of potential for a really thrilling series. But it took its sweet time to get started. And the 5th episode leading into the 6th episode, you feel like, okay, now they're finding their footing. But unfortunately, it's over. The beginning of the series was so focused on this person may be a Skrull, then this person may be a Skrull. What has Nick Fury been up to? Who are these new characters? And so it really took its time. The first few episodes, while the tone is really good, it just felt slow. And there wasn't much to latch onto or get a sense of where the story was going. They tried to have these thrilling moments, these big impact scenes from Gravik. It just felt like they had the story written out, but they just couldn't extend certain storylines. And there's a few episodes, about middle half, I would say episodes 3 and 4, where you felt those good ideas come out, but they just weren't executed. And they had some rushed moments. And overall, Secret Invasion, despite a good tone and a really good story, just didn't do much with it. It started off pretty strong with our tone and how darker it was compared to other MCU shows. And what we got was a pretty average series that at times feels very hollow and rushed, and they just didn't know what to do with all the things going on in here. And by the time we got to the end, you felt like they were finally picking it up. But unfortunately, it was all over. Coming at number 5 is Miss Marvel. I really like Miss Marvel. I think the series and the character, and I think the series and the character are a lot of fun. The energy is there. The on-screen additions make this series feel very quick and poppy as well. The vibe overall for Miss Marvel is pretty quick and bubbly, and the character is there to match it. You got that great high school feel to it. The character origin story, trying to understand her abilities, that is a lot of fun. The other side stories involving our villain and discovering certain things about her past, that is the weaker part of the series. A lot of these shows need to have more episodes. Give us 8 to 10 episodes. She-Hulk was 9. A lot of these shows, Secret Invasion, 6 episodes. I understand that you have a budget, you have a time frame to work with the actors and actresses involved, but give a little more because you can fully flesh out the characters. And while Miss Marvel does feel fleshed out, the storyline for her and her involvement in the series does not feel fleshed out. And that's frustrating when it has a good setup, the character is likable, you have that energy, it feels different than the other shows previously, but I cannot really remember much of the villain side of it and her past as well. I do remember the acting and the on-screen additions, the little features that pop up on screen and the energy behind it all, but just the later half of the series really fell apart. Coming in at 4th place is Hawkeye. Kate Bishop, for me, really saved this show. I really liked her in here. I think that she worked nicely alongside Hawkeye within here. I really don't care much for Echo and Kingpin in here. They just felt like they were added at the wrong time. I feel like they could have just held off Kingpin for a while and put him in the Daredevil show that we're going to get. I like seeing Florence Pugh return as well. Solid connection between Hawkeye and Endgame. Coming in at number 3 is Moon Knight. I was really excited for this, and this really paid off. Oscar Isaac is so good in here as Moon Knight and juggling the different identities in here and how they are able to edit those different identities in here was pretty clever, especially within the first few episodes where you see it really bounce back and forth and you don't know what had happened in one. You don't know what happened for one identity, and then the other one, you got to play catch up and clues altogether. There are some heartbreaking moments when you look at One Identity and what they endured when they were younger. That was really strong and added to the character. Ethan Hawke was so good in here, really intimidating, and our big grand moment at the end felt like a Power Rangers episode. But Moon Knight had a really good style to it, really darker look at an MCU character. I felt like they were implemented in the right way, and a lot of fun action. Oscar Isaac is so good in here. The performances are worth this show alone. And I know there are a lot of people who don't care for this show as much as other people like myself do, but the show has a good story, a really character-driven story as well. Coming in number 2 is Loki, and I had a blast with Loki. Tom Hiddleston is really good once again as Loki. Seeing a different side to him. The TVA, that mystery of the TVA was solid throughout, and seeing Kang at the end gave us a whole new look at the show and what to look forward to as well. The mystery there, the different Lokis, female Loki Sylvie, I loved her in the show, and then the little references and the cameos that we got were exciting as well. The show felt very mysterious. Owen Wilson was a great cast choice. The characters do work. The story is paced nicely throughout. Each episode, you're just wondering what's going to happen next. So the overall tone of it is very mysterious, and it plays up nicely throughout. I loved Loki as a character, and just seeing a different side to him and exploring what had happened at towards the end of Endgame is a story worth watching, and see how the TVA could affect things leading forward. So Loki, I anticipated the show, and I watched every single episode as it aired, and I had a good time with it. And each episode held my attention. I wanted to continue it. I liked the characters and what they did with the variants as well. Fun storyline in here, and I can't wait to see season 2. But coming in first place is WandaVision, the only show that I was like absolutely hooked on. I remember watching the show and trying to find different theories about what the ending was going to be. I was that involved with it. I loved Elizabeth Olsen in here as Scarlet Witch. The trauma that she dealt with losing Vision, and her creating her own like world that she could focus on her husband and her children. But when you look back at the real world and how it's been affected and what she's doing, it's so interesting. And that's where I think Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness did not work for me, because WandaVision was so strong and we had almost like a conclusion for her. And I don't think, I don't think that Doctor Strange film worked as well as it should have. This series, equal parts heartbreaking, because when you understand what she's trying to do, she wants to create her perfect world. It's emotional, but it's very mysterious and thrilling. Catherine Hahn in here, Agatha, I thought was terrific. Really caught me by surprise. But the overall mystery of what she's doing at the end of each episode, you got more and more clues, and that's what really drew me into it. I love the different looks at different television eras throughout the years, from where we were in the beginning to like I Love Lucy, with the middle half of the series looking at like shows Malcolm in the Middle. It was so cool, the different style that they focused on and how they just ran with it. So it's very unique in that way as well. But the overall story, the characters, the setting, the style to it, there's a lot in here to really do appreciate. And the one show I was just solely invested, the one show I was invested in when looking at the clues and the mystery and looking at different theories. I had a blast watching that when it was the first MCU show to be released on Disney Plus. I stayed up till midnight, and then I immediately started looking at theories like, what could this mean? Little tidbits here and there. I wanted to piece it all together. I had a good time with that. And unfortunately, I didn't feel that way with the other shows moving forward. Honestly, my interest in the Disney Plus shows has really dropped, and that's sad to me, because I do love MCU and all the movies and shows that they have released, but my interest has dipped tremendously since Endgame and WandaVision. So I'm hoping that there could be something that really just sparks my interest and want to watch it every night that it is released. Stay up till midnight and enjoy it. But WandaVision, for me, best Disney Plus MCU show. Love the style of the characters. It was very mysterious and thrilling. So there you guys have it. All 9 Disney Plus MCU shows ranked worst to best. How would you rank them? Let me know in the comment section down below, and stay tuned for more up and coming content like this. My name is Justin Watches Movies, and you guys stay classy, YouTube.